For the longest time, I thought that accepting my illness meant I was giving into it. I felt that I had to keep pushing. I kept overdoing it simply to prove that there was nothing wrong with me. I was only 20 years old when my fibro first started showing up. I was having falls, I was having pain, but I thought that was just part of being military. And that's all that I was constantly getting told is, "Oh, you'll be okay." Then the braces started showing up, and then the falls got worse. By the time I got out, I was permanently in a knee brace. I had chronic shin splints, and I had even more severe case of PTSD. And yet I still kept pushing. I would work full time, go to school full time. I was working from 7 a.m. I wouldn't get home till 12. And then I also had my schoolwork and everything else, and I just kept pushing. By the time 2000 came around, I was in such a dark place because I was in so much pain that I was strung out on medicine. And that started in the military. I was staying so zoned out because I didn't want to accept the fact that my life had changed. Even when I first got my diagnosis, I still didn't want to believe it was a lifelong condition. And that lasted for another 10 years. But when I finally came off the hardcore and I had that incident, then I started thinking. I started getting my brain back. And I started finally learning what Fibro had been trying to teach me all along. And that is that acceptance is not quitting. In fact, acceptance was something that I had to do. As the years went by and I did more research and I did more self reflection, I came to realize that acceptance was not admitting defeat. It was facing the reality of my life, and it was actually the way to help control some of the pain. And you know why? It's because that acceptance means you actually let yourself relax more. When it comes down to it, the more stress you're under, the more pain you're in, the more fatigue you feel. And by accepting your illness, you get to the point where you actually reduce your stress enough that it starts reducing the flares. However, in today's society, acceptance is actually pretty much a nasty word. Our culture tells us that we've got to be the pushers. We've got to constantly go out there and fight. We've got to constantly say, there's nothing wrong with me. We've got to conform to what everybody else can do. And that, for people with fibro, is a massive trap because following that mindset, we don't live in that reality. Our culture tells us that if we allow our illnesses to come forward, or if we even admit them, then we're weak, then we're broken, and we're not worth anything. I can't tell you how many times people look at me, they see my limp, they see that I don't move the way I should, according to their determination. And they also look at you like you have no brains, you have no intelligence, like your physical condition means you're also mentally deficient. And we're really not. Yes, our system does not handle stress the way everybody else can. Yes, we do deal with a lot more fatigue, we do deal with a lot more pain. And the more we keep focusing in on that pain and fatigue, the more we continue the vicious cycle that makes it worse. What I used to think was that if I kept pushing, if I kept planning better, or if I continued to try, then I would finally be able to move past my illness because that's what society tells us we should do. And it's also us trying to outrun our reality that our lives have changed and not typically for the better. One of the last jobs, well, actually, it was the last job I ever had. And I got a job working as a security guard. And I was only able to work for 3 months. And I was staying so zoned out when I was trying to drive a car. The hour it was to and back from my home to my job, but I was also driving the whole day. And I was doing it in so much pain that I couldn't even see straight. It affected how safe I was. And it taught me that there's only so much that I can do before I'm a danger to everybody else. And it all came down to one particular day. I had agreed to work a double shift. And even just getting through the first shift, by the time I got done, I wasn't even really walking. So I had to say, no, I couldn't do it because I was not safe to be driving. And I quit not long after that because I'd finally hit that wall where I was like, oh, do I have the right to continue trying? And I was like, no, I don't. That felt like I was quitting. But was my pride worth more than the lives I could ruin, including my own? If I continued to drive like that, the accidents I could cause in Houston traffic, lives I could end, it became about more than my pain. It became about my duty to society. What I was trying to do was keep up with a life that I had before, the life I didn't want to end. And it took me several years to come to terms with the fact that my life had changed. I went through all of those stages because they are extremely important within this realm that we deal with because we're grieving who we were and hating who we were becoming. As time went by, I began to realize that when I stopped fighting to be who I thought I was supposed to be and started accepting that I've changed and that my circumstances have changed, I learned that I actually was able to start reducing some of my pain. And the biggest reason was because by accepting my illness and accepting the changes, my body was able to relax. Do I still have flares? Definitely. Do I still have all kinds of days where I have fibro fog? Yeah. But you know what? Another thing I learned to accept is I was only human. And what society expects people to do nowadays, they don't want you to admit you're human. They want you to keep pushing. They want to keep you locked into just survival mode. And fibromyalgia is already stuck in survival mode every single second of the day. It's part of the illness. It wants you so reliant on society that in making more money just to keep up with Jones next door that we never allow ourselves to find time when we're not constantly stressed. So, acceptance is about living in the body you have, not who you thought it was. It's not giving up. Giving up is when you just say, there's nothing I can do. Absolutely nothing. And yes, I lived that for a long time too. I spent those beginning years in that state where all I did was focus in on my fibro. All I did was focus in on the pain, the fatigue. I didn't do anything else. I just gave up. I would sleep 16 hours a day. I would not move. I would not go out. I would not do anything except for watch TV and do nothing. But that was not living. That was simple survival. I had no joys. I had no, only thing that got me by were my animals. And to this day, I can't tell you how I could not live without my animals because the person who was down talking me the most was me. And one more thing you can say about acceptance. It's not me saying that our condition is fine. I'm saying that it's real, that it's okay, and that we can make choices based on reality and not denial. I do want to make a few things clear. Acceptance is not giving up on your dreams. It's about adapting those dreams to your new reality. Acceptance is not giving up of all forms of joy. Again, it's about adapting what you enjoy to your physical condition. It's not giving up on growth. I finally went back to school and got my degree. It's not about giving up on relationships, whether it be friendships, partners. I was 51 when I finally got married. And most importantly, it's not giving up on yourself. It's about adapting to your reality, and it actually builds you to be a stronger person. But it makes room for a different version of strength. I've always said that strength is not about being able to walk alone. It's not being that island. What strength is, it is being able to understand you're strong enough to get by, but you're also strong enough to say, I need help, because that's a much harder thing to do. And acceptance is also about being able to choose sustainability rather than overdoing it. By accepting yourself, you allow yourself to live a fuller life. And fibromyalgia is a part of that self. We may not like it, but that's the reality we do live in. Sometimes one of the bravest things you can do is to stop pushing, to stop trying to force yourself to be who you can't be. And it also allows you to love yourself, flaws and all. because through loving yourself, not only do you give yourself positive emotions, but it makes it so further joy is down the road. Maybe you follow some of your dreams, maybe in a different way, but you can still follow them. And I learned that I didn't have to destroy myself by not resting to accomplish the goals that I set myself. If you struggle with acceptance, I don't think you have to force yourself to love your limits, but maybe the best place to start is by telling the truth about them, not only to others, but more importantly to yourself. What are some of the limits that you hate the most about your fibromyalgia? Where in your life could acceptance help you stop overdoing it? So, if that helps you, feel free to stick around. I know how isolating fibromyalgia can feel, so I have started a Discord where my hope is that people can come, talk, share experiences, and just feel less alone. I'll leave a link to that below. And if you'd rather reach out privately, I am including my email as well. These videos are written from my own personal experiences. They are not meant as a medical diagnosis. They're not meant as medical advice. I'm just trying to share ways that I've learned to deal with the illness from over 3 decades of experience.